Hello, folks. I am Alan for today's news. I will be reading and speaking about world news, interesting news, news to keep you entertained, and news to keep you informed. First thing I got for you here is oh, yeah, we had a bad storm overnight. It only lasted about about 2 hours, I think. We got 9/10 of an inch. The fix is I bought an air quality thing, and air quality here was in the green good. Now it's in the red unhealthy. So anyway, enough of that. First thing I got for you is from ASUSA. China threatens the U.S. for shooting down the spy balloon. How do they plan on retaliating? China is going to, China is going on the offense after the U.S. downed a suspected spy balloon on February 4th off the East Coast that flew over the United States and Canada. But remember, too, though, that it flew over some important areas, too. Foreign Minister spokesperson Wang Weben said that Beijing will take countermeasure against U.S. entities and retaliation for what it deems Washington using the incident as a pretext to illegally sanction Chinese companies and institutions. And it says here the threat comes after the U.S. sanctioned 6 Chinese entities it accuses of being part of Beijing's aerospace programs, linked to what Washington has said in a worldwide surveillance program using high-altitude balloons. Furthermore, China is now accusing the U.S. of overflying several of its provinces with high-altitude balloons, something Washington infinitely denies. Anyway, you can read the rest of this in my description box if you like. And what I got here is the war in Ukraine is getting, this is from 1945, the war in Ukraine is getting ready to explode. U.S. confirmed Ukrainian spring offense is coming. In a joint press conference with Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Miley, on Monday, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin revealed that Ukraine is preparing an offensive to take place in spring. It follows months of speculation that Russia is preparing to do precisely the same, waiting until the snow and ice melt and the ground is hard again. What Ukraine wants to do at the first possible moment is to establish or create momentum and establish conditions on the battlefield that continues to be in its favor. And so we expect to see them conduct an offensive sometime in spring, Austin said. Anyway, you can read the rest of this in my description box. I have quite a few to read to you here today. This is from Radar Online. Ominous warning. Vladimir Putin sends 2 BlackJack nuclear bombers near the UK as war rages on. Kremlin leader Putin sent a chilling message in the form of 2 BlackJack nuclear bombers that flew near the United Kingdom, RadarOnline.com has learned. The aircrafts equipped for carrying nuclear missiles were spotted over the Norwegian Sea, north of Scotland's Sutherland Islands. The escalation and flex of Russia's military capability came ahead of the anniversary of February 24th, which mark a year since the deeply paranoid Putin, 70 years old, ordered to the unprovoked attack on Ukraine. The Russian Ministry of Defense confirmed the flight in a statement on Tuesday, according to The Sun. 2 Tu-160 strategic bombers have performed a scheduled flight in the airspace above neutral waters of the Barents and Norwegian seas the Russian Ministry of Defense said in a statement. And you can read the rest of this in my description box. Here's something from 1945. Lambs to the slaughter. Is Putin making another big Ukraine mistake? After being driven back for months, Russia is hoping to reverse its fortunes on the battlefield in Ukraine. And NATO officials have warned that the Kremlin may have already begun the opening moves of a major offensive as its forces seek to tighten the noose around Bakhmut and the country's east. And it could end quite badly for Russia. So here, Putin has big plans to strike back against Ukraine. You can read the rest of this in my description box. The worst places to be if nuclear war breaks out between Russia and the U.S. This is from the Daily Digest. What are the worst places to be in the event of a nuclear war? You know, they keep bringing this nuclear war up, and I'm pretty sure we're getting there. 75% positive on that. I could be wrong, but it said for decades, the thought of a global nuclear war between two worlds, great powers, had receded into the background noise of history. But ever since Putin invaded Ukraine, worries about a looming nuclear encounter have dominated news headlines. Russia could start a chain reaction that leads to a global nuclear war. Russia is the world's largest nuclear power with an estimated stockpile of roughly 5,977 warheads, according to the Federation of American Scientists. And if Putin uses one of his tactical nuclear devices in Ukraine, it could start a chain reaction that leads to war. It says there, where don't you want to be? In the event of a nuclear war that involved Russia and the United States, it would certainly involve America's NATO allies, a situation that will make several countries some of the worst places to be as the war unfolded. Nuclear war in the United States. If Putin was fighting a nuclear war, then the United States could expect the most of its major cities will be destroyed by Russia's first volley of intercontinental ballistic missiles. And let's see what else it says here. It says, expect these cities to be gone. Cities like New York, Chicago, Houston, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Washington, D.C. will be among the first struck, according to a map created by CBS News journalist John Dodge in 2015. How do where know where Russia will strike? Anyway, it said Dodge used open source data from the Federal Emergency Management Administration, which is FEMA, and the National Resource Defense Council to plot like Russian nuclear targets in the United States. So they're just guessing where they're going to be. Other vulnerable places also on the list, you find large cluster of targets in Colorado, Montana, North Dakota, and Wyoming, places which house a substantial portion of America's nuclear arsenal. Important targets on the map. Some of the largest targets include active nuclear plants, wrote the Independent Gustav Killander, who recently reevaluated Dodge's map and its targets in a February 10th article on the subject. How bad would it be? There are approximately 90 plants across the U.S., Killander said. with some located in Alabama, Arizona, Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee. I know they got a Callaway nuclear power plant over in Callaway County, Missouri, near Jefferson City, Missouri, the capital. It says here, the United States will be the worst country to be doing a nuclear exchange, with the United States being Russia's primary target and the second largest nuclear world power, with an arsenal of 5,428 warheads, according to the Federation of American Scientists. The country would probably be one of the worst places to be if a nuclear war broke out. The United Kingdom will be the first runner-up. The United Kingdom has drawn Russia's nuclear ire, maybe that's misprint, for all the assistance they've provided Ukraine over the last year. Putin has threatened to nuke the UK at least 35 times in the last year. According to Newsweek, Brendan Cole, Putin alone has threatened to bomb the country at least 35 times since the war began, which might make it the second worst place to be in the event of a nuclear war with Russia. Most major cities will be wiped out. They're showing a little map there too. Most of the UK's major city will be under threat if the Daily Star's Adam Collier, reporting in September 2022 that Cold War era map discovered in the country's National Archives reveal where Russian forces will bomb, which would be the target. Targets at the time were set to include central London, Edinburgh, Teesside, never heard of that, Leicester, Manchester, Liverpool, Glasgow, Hull, York, Dover, Cambridge, Maidstone, Huddersfield, Wolverhampton, Coventry, and Sheffield. Carrier wrote. Other infrastructures we know will be hit. Alongside these population centers were 23 Royal Air Force bases, 14 U.S. Air Force bases, 10 radar stations, 8 military command center, and 13 Royal Navy bases, the Daily Star reporter added. And this is page 15 or 21. I'm not going to continue reading it all. It takes a while. And you can read the rest of this in the description box. And I would say that, his first attempt will be knocking out all radars before he hit these nuclear plants. That's what I would do if I was Putin. Because without radars, you're hopeless. I would do the radars, hit all the radar installations, then hit all the nuclear places, and then hit all the big cities, including the airports. This one here from Washington Examiner. China and Mexico refuse to cooperate with the U.S. against fentanyl suppliers, federal official says. China and Mexico have stonewalled information sharing and other basic steps to counteract the fentanyl crisis in the United States, according to federal officials. And there's a lot of kids dying from that still, In St. Louis, they had a kid died about a week ago. So there are basic steps China could take that they're not taking right now. That could help a lot. State Department Assistant Secretary Ty Robinson, who leads the Counter Narcotics Bureau, told a sitting committee on Wednesday. Robinson and the other federal officials appear before the panel as lawmakers seek to address a crisis we cannot solve just within our borders. And so there's a lot of drugs, coming from Mexico. Well, coming from China to Mexico and then hidden here, and also from Canada too. Here's something here. It said Newsweek: Walmart's $2 eggs spark concern questions. Social media posts on Wednesday that showed eggs being sold for $2 a carton at a Walmart in Kentucky caused a large online response from people discussing the recent spike in egg prices across the country. WLEX, a local NBC affiliate television station in Lexington, shared a photo of the eggs display on its official Facebook page. The station identified the display as being at a Walmart in Harrodsburg and Central Kentucky. They're showing all these carton eggs with $2 sign above it. You can see it when you get to this website. It said the price of eggs has spiked in recent months that reached a record high in December when the average cost for a dozen large grade eggs in the U.S. city hit $4.25, up $1.79 from a year earlier. The cause of the escalated price has been cited as inflation and what the U.S. Department of Agriculture (USDA) statistics show, and the largest avian influenza outbreak in history. The USDA recorded 57.83 million birds deaths from the start of 2022 to January 11th of this year. A lot of birds, which surpassed the previous record of 50.5 million birds deaths in 2015. And I checked the Walmart app where I live, and our dozen eggs is $2.98 a dozen, and for an 18 pack, it's like $4.40, I think it was. And you can read the rest of this in my description box. I got a lot to read here. It says here, TikToker claims new Walmart security camera track customers' every move, sparkling debate. There's been a lot of talk surrounding the advanced anti-theft measures employed at various Walmart locations across the country. The company purportedly loses out on $3 billion a year in sales by certain estimations, which is a drop in the bucket compared to how much profit it moves. Still, this is a massive figure, and it's understandable that the company will want to invest even a fraction of that into methods that will help the retailer shrink that figure. They hear, in fact, there are folks online who says that the cameras in self-checkout lanes snap photos of people ringing up their own purchases. Yeah, I've seen them there before. You can read the rest of this in my description box. And I was watching this one lawyer on YouTube said Rhode Island is trying to make a bill where if you got 8 items or more and go to a self checkout, you should get 10% off your price. And if that passes, then other states will probably follow suit also. So that's something to think about, because they're actually hurting people from not giving them a job. And here's something weird. I thought it was Illinois man turns to News 4. This is out News 4 out of St. Louis. Investigates to prove he's alive after credit cards stopped working. It said a local man found himself dealing with his own death, and not in the literal sense. He recently learned after his credit card company and his life insurance and many others thought he was deceased. I have never been dead before, said Michael Hillard, who lives in Summerfield, Illinois. It all started a few weeks back when his credit card randomly stopped working. He called to ask why and was told his account was closed because he was deceased. This was bizarre enough. I say, hey, I'm not dead because you are talking to me on the phone right now, he said. But then it was another credit card and other entities too. How am I dead if I am making payments? Dead people don't pay bills, he said. Now this, how this could happen, he didn't have a clue. The second time, the third time, okay, there is a problem, he said. The 58-year-old hasn't even had a health scare. Maybe I am a person that got wound up in someone's dark web, and it's my turn to pay the piper, Hiller said. And you can read the rest of this in my description box. And I never thought, this could happen, but I think they said like they had a number on here somewhere. I think it was. Anyway, I said here the state of Illinois said they don't have a death record for him. The Social Security Administration is still looking into it. Anyway, you can read the rest of this in my description box if you like. And we're way over time here. And let's see, I think I got one more. No, maybe not. Let's see. Thought I was going to read something else here. No, I guess that was it. Let me check my email here. Oh yeah, there is something else here. When you probably heard about it. Wednesday morning, actress Raquel Welch died at 82. It says legendary Hollywood actress Raquel Welch has died, and she was 82 years old. Raquel Welch, the legendary bombshell actress of film, television, stage, passed away peacefully early this morning after a brief illness. They don't say what the illness was. Her manager, Steve, said in a statement. Anyway, you can read the rest of this if you like in my description box. And that's all I got for you right now. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. At least come back and watch once in a while. And thanks for watching. See you later.